Patreon. Raging Rhino asked, where did you get this awesome hoodie from? And the answer is I got it from my brother at Interstate Steel. So if you're in the, Indianapolis, that's a word, Indianapolis, Indiana area, and you need like a metal building put up, then you should see my brother at InterstateSteel.com. He's a patron here. He's the bomb. Hold on. Gotta text the wife back. I'm gonna pull over. Everybody simmer down. I'll do the thing where I do the edit thing, so hold on. Alright, so actually what the Raging Rhino asked was AR9 / Kel-Tec sub 2K versus AR15. So basically 9mm sub gun or AR platform, long barrel 9, shoulder fired 9, we'll say, versus AR15 platform, philosophies of use. So you guys know that I am a huge proponent of 5.56 4-end times. I don't love 5.56. I really don't love it, but I like it more than 9mm, and it's size and weight efficient. Now this is my years of nut and fancy patronage coming through the conversation, but it's also my years of practical use with 9mm 308 Winchester 5.56 7.62x39, so forth and so on. And so 5.56 is not a great problem solver in a lot of situations, but it's pretty damn good in most situations. So where I think you can get into the 9mm subgun discussion is, number one, truck gun. Doesn't make sense. I think maybe 5 years ago it made more sense than it does now, because AR pistols are totally a thing, and if you feel like giving the ATF the middle finger, you can shoulder that bad boy if you want to. And I'll tell you what, in end times, I'm going to put whatever weapon to my shoulder I feel like, period, the end. And the legalities around that right now, during rule of law, always subject to change. I'll just say that. You can shoulder this brace, you can't shoulder that brace, you can do this if the barrel length is that, and cool, I get that. If you have to go to the range to shoot your toys, that's an issue. If you shoot them out behind your house, it's not. If you train with a bunch of guys, you don't know, well, how do we know that there's not an informant here in the militia? You don't. But you're going to go to the ATF, hey, he shouldered his weapon. Even though it's a pistol, he shot it from his shoulder. Okay, whatever. Hashtag screw you, government. Like, I hate the federal government system. Hate it with a passion because I've been inside of it and it sucks. Bad words. Okay, next. With the advent of the AR platform pistol, it's much harder to make the argument for a 9mm subgun in a lot of ways. Certain philosophies of use. As a truck gun, I'd rather have a short barrel AR, like a 10.5 barrel AR with a set of M-bus, backup sights, or a dot sight, and shoulder that puppy and roll 2,970 feet per second, give or take, 62 grain LAPs. Yeah, you can party. Rifle rounds beat pistol rounds. The end. The end. The end. If you're gonna look at the ballistics, and yes, you can say, well, a 22 long rifle is a rifle round, and you can shoot the 44 Magnum out of a rifle. Come on. Yeah. Within reason, hear me out here. Tactically speaking, the common rifle rounds beat the common handgun rounds. So an AR9 for me is truly a toy. There's no, that I know of, first cool scenario, practical, tactical scenario where an AR9 makes sense as a defensive / offensive weapon. Because if you're going to choose a shoulder-fired 9mm, you can get a Kel-Tec sub 2K that's half the weight. Or you can get, all types of 9mm subguns that, you know, weigh as much or less and are more, hypothetically, more ergonomic and just perform better. So if you want to play with it, if it's just cool to you, yeah, I agree completely. But for a truck gun, short barrel 5.56, man, every day, you know, SHTF militiaman loadout, 16-inch barrel AR, 5.56 by 45 NATO, done, problem solved. Now, you could get fancy, but I wouldn't, because the more complex a mechanism is, the more likely it is to degrade over time, right? The more failure points there are. So the simpler you keep things, the more likely they are to perform in the macro. So now, where does it make sense? Okay, the Kel-Tec Sub 2K is light and it folds in half. You can put that thing in a backpack that nobody would have any idea that there was a long gun in there. That makes sense. So clandestine carry of a long gun? Yep, absolutely. Are there some cool folding ARs that do the same thing? Yep. They're stupid expensive. The Sub 2K is around 500 bucks right now. So, and it's accurate, and it's a long barrel weapon, and the sights on it work well enough, and you can put a dot sight on it if you want to, 33 round Glock stick mags, all the good stuff. So you can get me there with that for sure. I mean, both Pastor Joe and Squid, two people who I'm very close to and who know a thing or two about tactics, carry Sub 2Ks as part of their truck equipment. So you can get me there for sure. And if you're carrying a Glock 17 or a Glock 19 or a Glock 34 or even a Glock 26 along with that Sub 2K, you got me there. It makes sense. That's a very good employment of the weapons platform. However, I would not use it as an offensive weapon. It is a defensive weapon to get heads down so that you can move. Can you get the job done? 147 grain plus P jacketed hollow points 9x19mm? You sure can. But I would much rather have, you know, 69 grain ballistic tip 5.56 or 77 grain. All right, well, must be something big going on, because there's two townies and a sheriff patrolling the streets, the big streets of this little tiny town that we're adjacent to. So anyway, I'm still here, not headed to the local slammer yet. So 9mm defensively, shoulder fired 9mm defensively, yes, you can make that argument to me. If the idea is to put rounds on target to get them to duck behind cover so that you can move, yep, I get it. But if you're gonna go to that length to make something like that happen, wouldn't it be good to know that you have better terminal ballistics than a handgun round from a shoulder-fired weapon? So, now again, Sub 2K is relatively cheap, takes Glock mags. It's small, it's lightweight, it has its place. I agree, it has its place. If you're going to employ it in that role, you can get me there. But aside from that, you know, it's back in the 80s and 90s, the shoulder-fired 9mm subgun was the weapon of choice for a lot of SWAT teams and, you know, specialized units. The problem is the ballistics on a 9mm just aren't that great. So if you're doing things like entry into homes, right, where you're worried over over-penetration, secondary penetration, grand jury rounds, where your round goes into somebody, out of somebody, and into somebody else, then yes, a highly efficient hollow point that will expand, you know, in a small amount of soft tissue and put the brakes on real quick, yes, that makes sense. That makes sense. So for, you know, room clearing operations, yeah, a 9mm can do the job, and in a lot of ways it can do the job better than a rifle caliber round. Outside of a home, I have a preference for rifle caliber rounds. I don't own any shoulder fired 9mm. They are fun to shoot. I like them, but I don't have a place in the philosophies of use that I employ in my daily where a 9mm is going to be preferred to me over a 5.56. Even with a truck gun, my whole concept with a truck gun is sooner or later this truck's gonna break down and I'm gonna have to get out and walk. And so if I'm getting out and walking, I want a gun that can reach out and touch somebody if I need them to, can still function up close and personal if I need it to, and doesn't weigh a ton, that I can carry the thing for days or weeks if I have to, whatever the situation may entail. So AR9 to me is a toy. It's a straight up toy because it doesn't do anything that an AR15 doesn't do for basically the same price and the same weight, other than maybe be a home defense weapon that's you're going to mitigate your concern of over penetration, secondary penetration in the home. Maybe that. Next from there, as a get out of Dodge gun, the 9mm shoulder fired weapons platform can make sense, as we've already talked about. Clandestine carry of a long gun, yes, I agree. That's the upside of the sub 2Ks. You can fold that thing in half and it's like 16 inches long, fits in a backpack. You throw 3 or 4 31/33 round Glock mags in there, and you're carrying a Glock 19 and you've got, you know, a 15 round magazine in that and 2 17 round reloads, and now it starts to make sense. I know people who carry these weapons in that manner to like functions, you know, we'll just say functions, where having a backpack on is, you know, totally normal. Nobody thinks twice because the guy with, you know, his wife and kids is there with a backpack, but in that backpack is a whole lot of firepower. You could also make the argument for Gray Man that, yeah, that's a good idea to have that thing rather than an AR, and if you need it, it's in your pack. If you're gonna do that, which you can, if you're gonna do that, you need to keep your head on a swivel, because the time it's going to take you to employ that weapon versus the time it's gonna take me to shoulder and fire mine are vastly different. If you have to go digging through your bag to get your gun, unfold it, seat the mag, rack the bolt, flip the safety off, and then start shooting, compared to me shouldering my weapon, flipping the safety off, aligning my sights and squeezing the trigger, all of which takes about 25 hundredths of a second to 30 hundredths of a second, at least up close and personal. Yeah, it's a big difference. So you need to be very forward thinking if that's your plan, or you carry it until such a time as you go, screw that, I'm taking it out of the bag, now you've got it on a sling and I'm carrying this sucker. That can work too, but for me, I see the shoulder fired 9 as a home weapon, home defense weapon, or a concealed carry of a long gun weapon for sure. Maybe as a Gray Man, maybe as a truck gun. I like 5.56, even short-barreled 5.56. And hey, if you want to get crazy, 300 blackout, short-barreled 300 blackout, man, that's what 300 blackout was designed for, is to get a complete powder burn out of a short barrel. And you got a 30-round projectile, or 30 caliber projectile, 30-round projectile. Sound like that idiot, the 30 round. What's that guy from California? 30 million round assault clip gun. You know who I'm talking about. I sound like that dumb A. So anyway, I don't love the shoulder fired 9 for practical tactical. I do like playing with them though, and I would just advise that unless you know for sure that you're employing it in a philosophy of use that makes sense, make sure you're not just playing with it, because there is something to that whole turn and cover into concealment concept, and 9mm does not hit very hard even out of a 16-inch plus barrel. So I guess lastly what I would say is if you're going to carry that, or any other weapon for that matter, Remember that handgun rounds are anemic. They do not have the stopping power that everybody pretends that they do. All right, and you can just go read FBI statistics on that. So shot placement, shot placement, shot placement. Go buy you a stack of 3x5 index cards and shoot all day until you get holes in them every time at whatever distance you feel your engagement is gonna be at. So there's kind of my thoughts on shoulder fired 9 versus 5.56. You guys know what I carry, it's a 5.56. If I ever get to the point where I have a philosophy that it makes sense for me to have a shoulder fired 9, I would definitely go with the Kel-Tec Sub 2K over an AR9 any day of the week. It's half the price, twice as useful, excellent track record, and just Glock mags, bro. Glock mags. So there we go. Shalom, Mr. Raging Rhino. You should probably not rage so much. Have you sat down and talked about your feelings? Have you?